Hi, I'm Kelly, a registered respiratory therapist with Blue Zone Health. Do you feel breathless much of the time? Are you unsure of how to manage your breathlessness? Is it keeping you from doing all the things that you would like to do? I'm here to help you learn to work with your healthcare team to come up with a plan that will work for you. There are lots of tools, tips, and tricks and breathing exercises that you can do now that will help you breathe easier and more effectively. I look forward to joining you on this journey and empowering you to breathe better.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Cozy Lung Lounge. My name is Amy.
I'm Gina.
I'm Kelly.
Today we're excited to talk with you guys about energy crisis. So we're going to be discussing all about how to manage fatigue with COPD and pulmonary disease and really understand the connection between lung disease and chronic fatigue and some different strategies to help optimize your daily energy levels. So first off, do we have any pulmonary news out there that we want to talk about briefly?
Not that I know of. No updated guidelines or anything that I've come across. Gina?
Nothing special for today. It's springtime starting in as we record this, so a lot of allergies. But yeah, it's nice to have some sunshine after that long winter we had.
Oh, absolutely. I'm loving the sunshine out here. So I guess the first thing that we'll get into is kind of discussing what causes fatigue with pulmonary disease and why are those two things so closely linked. So Kelly, did you want to start off and just kind of briefly explain what may be causing the fatigue?
You know, it could be any number of things. The most common, I believe, is the deconditioning of the muscles. And there's many, many factors to that. But if your muscles are deconditioned, you burn up oxygen a lot faster than you would if you were conditioned, which will lead us right into the oxygen part. But I think first and foremost, this is where exercise with COPD is your friend, because you need to get those muscles conditioned, which means, in a sense, in shape, which means that they use oxygen much more efficiently. So the bigger muscles, the leg muscles, for example, if those muscles are deconditioned and you try to walk, it's going to use a lot more oxygen than if you walked or exercised or rode a bike daily. And so that's the first one, is deconditioning. And then the oxygen levels. Are you checking your oxygen levels? Amy, Gina, feel free to chime in.
As you are dealing with a pulmonary disease, a lot of times what happens is you have that decrease in your oxygen levels in your body, and that's what causes a lot of the deconditioning. So when you don't have enough oxygen, your muscles are very, very greedy cells, and they like to keep as much oxygen and nutrients as they possibly can. And without proper oxygen levels, you'll lose a lot of that muscle mass a lot quicker than somebody else who isn't exercising. And that's the other piece, is as you have more and more concerns with your breathing, and as you're getting short of breath because of COPD or whatever lung disease you may be dealing with, you'll exercise less and less, which is actually the opposite of what we want to do. So the decrease in your oxygen levels, as well as just kind of the decrease in your physical activity, is what really can drive that deconditioning.
I think also, said another way, a lot of people with COPD curb their activities because of oxygen, whether you're on oxygen, supplemental oxygen or not, or whether you're even checking your saturations or not. You reach a certain point of fatigue and you stop what you're doing. And maybe you stop as in you're done for the day, or maybe you stop just to sit down, catch your breath, and then start up again, whatever you were doing, walking, vacuuming, chores, grocery shopping, whatever you were doing. And so the idea behind reconditioning those muscles, the pulmonary rehab or any kind of exercise program, is to make it so that you can continue your activities and not have to do this start, stop, start, stop. You just continue what you're doing because you've reconditioned those muscles. But I wanted to throw something in about a 6-minute walk test. And if you've never had a 6-minute walk test, I highly recommend you run to your pulmonologist and get one done. And the 6-minute walk test, as much as it's kind of the gold standard for respiratory therapists and all of us that work with COPD patients, there's another measure that I like to have my patients do, and that's how much activity can you do at home before you either get very breathless or desaturate. or hopefully not both. So in other words, you can do a 6-minute walk test, and we say, great, you can walk 1,000 feet before you desaturate, or you can walk 1,000 feet on 2 liters. But how does that translate into what can you do at home? Can you walk from one end of your house to the other? Not in terms of time, but in terms of activity, right? How long can you vacuum, sweep, or mop? How long can you garden outside? How long can you do the activities that you want to do before you need to either bump up your oxygen or slow down and stop? And so it's just something to think about and to compare with that 6-minute walk test in terms of what do you need to do so that you can get things done that you want to do without having to stop and take breaks. And there's nothing wrong with stopping and taking breaks. That's absolutely fine. But sometimes I think a lot of my patients express frustration in that they want to go grocery shopping, but it takes them 2 hours because they got to stop, find a place to sit down. Okay, get up, find 3 things, stop, find a place to sit down.
Now, why I also recommend that same process of taking your time and catching your breath. I had a patient today who just said he just goes as hard as he can until he just can't go any farther. Is that a good idea for boosting your energy?
No, definitely not. I think it's really important to pace yourself. It is true, breaks are really helpful, but if you feel like you're taking breaks really frequently when you're doing just kind of your normal day-to-day activities, it could be that you're rushing yourself a little bit too much as you're performing your day-to-day tasks. So if you're going as hard and as fast as you can before you get breathless, that's actually kind of the opposite of what you want to do. You want to be able to slow down the movement, slow down what you're doing, maybe not speed walk through the aisles of the grocery store and then have to stop after getting 3 ingredients. You may want to just walk a little bit slower and do kind of a leisurely stroll through the grocery store, because that could be what's going on. Some people may just be kind of rushing before they get breathless, and that's actually just causing them to be more breathless and have to take more breaks.
I always joke with my patients because I say, I see you vacuuming at home, and I see you doing it as fast as you darn can, and then you're on the couch for the rest of the day. That's not a life. That's no good. Pace yourself so that you can get the things done you want to do, and make sure that you're breathing through the activity, no matter how fun or not fun it is. Make sure you're breathing through when you're at the grocery store, out and about, shopping, whatever you're doing. Pace yourself evenly so that you can get through a day, do what you need to do without wearing yourself out completely.
So we've talked about going to the grocery store. Are there foods that can help boost this energy, or is it just breathing practices?
That's a really good one. So foods, a lot of pulmonary patients tend to be very carb heavy because they're easy, quick snacks. You don't have to prepare a whole lot of things, right? It's right there available. But I would really highly encourage everybody to balance your diet. And, at the grocery store, you can buy a lot of foods that are already washed, chopped, prepared, pre-cooked. You can definitely use those foods. But a lot of times, if you're very carb heavy, that energy tends to burn off very quickly and leave you even more tired at the end. So balance your carbohydrates with some protein, with some fat, and make sure that'll sit in your stomach longer. That'll give you energy longer, and you won't poop out quite as fast.
The reason I say that is because I had a piece of pie the other day on an empty stomach. Gave me a little bit of energy, but quickly I was in a coma on the couch because of the sugar variations. What about simple breathing exercises? Will those help?
Absolutely. So there's definitely some that you should be practicing throughout the day, but then there's some that you can use in kind of those times of need or when you're exercising. So the main 3 that come to mind is diaphragmatic breathing, pursed lip breathing, and coordinated breathing. Diaphragmatic breathing should be something that you're practicing at least once or twice a day to really just focus on that deep breathing and on training your diaphragm. And I'm sure there's some helpful videos out there. Blue Zone Health has some videos on their website on these breathing techniques. Pursed lip breathing can be used when you feel really short of breath. So that could be a great breathing technique that will help slow down your breathing and gain really good control of your breathing. If you ever feel like you've gone a little bit too quickly and now all of a sudden you're breathing really rapidly and you can't slow down. And then if you're doing physical activity, if you're actually doing something like weightlifting or strength classes, coordinated breathing is a really great breathing technique that will help make sure you're not holding your breath throughout the activities. And it can actually be used if you're walking up a flight of stairs, or if you're trying to lift something really heavy like a jug of milk that you've set on the ground and you need to pick up. It's a really great breathing technique for exhaling when you're doing that big movement. And that can really help kind of give you an extra boost and make sure you're not holding your breath or causing any pressure. So those are some really great breathing techniques to use.
You know, another thing too that has to do with energy levels in COPD patients is your quality of sleep. Are you getting enough rest? Are you getting good quality rest? I know a lot of patients tell me that they get 8 hours of sleep, but it's not quality sleep. They wake up several times because they feel short of breath, or they just feel like their chest is tight, or their partner's snoring, or the cat jumps on the bed, or that, you know, something is waking them up. And just kind of reevaluating your sleeping environment and making sure that you can sleep comfortably in your environment. Some patients I know like to sit up a little bit higher. If you're trying to lie flat and breathe, your diaphragm doesn't have very much room to move. Whereas if you sit up, and I know those Sleep Number beds, those are perfect. They're also extremely very expensive. So just arranging your pillows in such a way that you're not disturbing your partner, but you're able to sit yourself up a little bit so your diaphragm has a bit of room to drop, so you can get a fuller breath in than you would lying flat.
And speaking of those pillows, there's actually something called, I guess it's just like a foam wedge, but it's just made out of foam, and it's a big triangle, and it's something that you can get that kind of just creates that incline so that you can sleep a little bit more upright. So that could be a less expensive way than a big, Sleep Number bed. That could be a way to have you sit up a little bit more comfortably and have good support.
Hi friends, this episode of the Cozy Lung Lounge is brought to you by Hoot Nanny Joy, where your health and wellness take center stage. At Hoot Nanny Joy, we know how overwhelming it can be to stay on top of your health, especially when life gets busy or chronic illness adds challenges. That's why we've created self-study programs designed to meet you right where you are. These programs are simple, flexible, and packed with tools to help you thrive. And they come with something extra, access to a live health coach. That's me, to guide you every step of the way. Whether it's improving your sleep, learning to nourish your body, or managing stress, our programs combine proven science with practical, real-life strategies. You can work at your own pace, get the answers you need during coaching sessions, and feel confident you're making progress. Ready to take that first step? Visit hootnannyjoy.com to explore the programs and choose the one that fits your journey best. Hoot Nanny Joy, because your health deserves a little joy. Now, we are recording a deep dive into sleep here before long, so you'll have to watch out for that. But there's nothing wrong with taking a focused nap in the afternoon. You don't want to be on the couch all day long recovering from your morning, but 1 to 2 hours of really focused nap time in the afternoon might be appropriate. You don't want to sleep all day long to be groggy or interrupt your night schedule, but napping is really helpful.
I think it's important also just to take note of your fatigue level overall. And if you're feeling just really overly tired, just really like, what is going on today? I'm just really tired. I can't seem to snap out of it. That could be a signal of an infection coming on. That could be a lot of things happening. If you really feel just more tired than normal, I would ask, call your doctor and just make an appointment, ask to be seen, because you may have something coming on. And if you ever feel your chest is heavy, any chest pain, or just, your lungs feel heavy, so to speak, definitely make an appointment and get seen. But being overly tired is kind of a hallmark sign of an infection coming on.
You're exactly right, Kelly. I wear an Oura ring, but also an Apple Watch would do the same thing. And sometimes my body signals and the fatigue is telling me I am ill, and I don't really put the two and two together until farther down. So yeah, fatigue definitely a sign of infection or something different going on with your body. You might just need some mindfulness and sit back and do some breathing exercises to reset your stress for the day. You may need to go see your doctor.
Instead of more of a drastic onset of more fatigue, what about somebody who's slowly becoming more and more fatigued? It seems like over a period of weeks. What would you guys recommend, and when do you think that they should come in to see your doctor?
If you're not able to do the things that you need to do to take care of yourself, if you're slowing down the activities that you do all of the time, definitely need to contact your primary care doctor just to do an overall evaluation. Some slow down, I don't want to say it's normal with aging, but sometimes you do change the way you do activities. But when it interferes, you definitely want to get a physician involved. Write down those symptoms. Are you becoming depressed? Sometimes fatigue is simply depression, and you may need to have some different kinds of actions, whether it's just some family support or going out with your friends. But declining activity over weeks definitely is a call for a physician involvement.
And could it also be because you're not keeping up with your exercise? Have you been keeping up with your exercise, doing your morning walks, whatever it is that you do? And did you have any diet changes recently? Sometimes people will go on trips, they're traveling, they're visiting family, they have a time zone change, they have a food change, change in a place of where they're sleeping. And it takes a while to get used to that after you get back. But if it's over weeks and you're still feel like you're just getting more and more and more tired, I would definitely be seen. Just make sure your diet is balanced and that you're keeping up with your exercise as best you can.
You'll want to make sure that you haven't had any new medications. If you've had Benadryl, for example, that's going to cause you fatigue. You probably knew that you took the Benadryl. But there may be longer acting medicines that your doctor has prescribed that could cause fatigue. Changes in your heart, changes in your brain can also signal fatigue, not just your lungs.
Well, I think we've mainly hit the big points of kind of understanding what may be causing the fatigue, going through some of the lifestyle changes, and some different ways to boost your energy levels. But going back to that physical activity, just don't forget to stay as active as you can. And one way, if you're starting to feel a little bit more fatigued, try to add in a little extra activity. So maybe in the morning when you've first woken up and gotten ready and you're feeling a little bit energetic, you could go on a brief walk in the morning, especially if you went outside where the sun's shining, if it's warm where you are. Physical activity and getting moving can get that heart rate up and should help kind of boost your mood and boost your energy. And so that's a great way to start your day if you're looking for something small. It doesn't have to be a long walk, but if you just need an energy boosting strategy, that's a really good one.
We forgot to mention also staying hydrated. Drinking enough water, plain water. Coffee does not count as hydration. I know there's studies out there that say it does, but coffee does not count. It's water, plain water. That will help you with so many things, but staying hydrated will help you with fatigue.
Actually, that reminds me of somebody that I've been working with recently who couldn't understand why their blood pressure was going up, couldn't understand why their heart rate was a little bit faster, and they felt a little bit more chest tightness, and it was kind of bothering them. And we were kind of going through all these options, couldn't figure out what it was because he wasn't able to exercise the way he wanted to. And that was frustrating for him. And we realized that he was drinking 5 to 6 cups of coffee in between breakfast and lunch. And so that was really causing a big impact in his blood pressure, heart rate, in how he was able to perform physical activity, and just how he felt. And so we were able to kind of do a slow decline, and he's back down to, I think, 2 cups of coffee rather than 6, and has made a huge improvement. So that's definitely something to look out for if you just kind of are a coffee grazer. I know I'm sitting here with my coffee, so, it's not perfect, but take a look at that one as well. That's really important.
And some people like to add things to their water. That Crystal Light or IV hydration is a big one. That stuff's got chemicals in it and colorants and all kinds of crazy things. I wouldn't touch it. Just learn to love water. We supposedly, here where I live in the desert, we have our water district puts out a report. We have the cleanest, safest drinking water, blah, 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 but it tastes horrible. And the refrigerator that I have has a built-in filter, and I can just do the dispenser. It tastes terrible to me. And I was up at my sister's house, and she gets, it used to be Sparklets. Now it's called Primo or something else. I don't know what brand it is, but she gets this water delivered. And I thought, well, why? The water's free. It's not free, but I mean. But then I sat there and tasted her water, and I said, okay, where do I get this? And it made all the difference in the world. If your water tastes good, you'll actually drink it. And that was kind of going on with me. I didn't really want water. I wanted something that tasted like something. So maybe try some bottled water. Maybe try the home delivery service so that you have it right there at the ready if you really don't like water.
So a squeeze of lemon is really is something, add some flavor. My kids and I call it sour water at this point, because it gives you that extra interest level.
Absolutely. That's what I was about to say. Lemon, mint, strawberries, whatever you can think of that you like to add to your water that's fruit or any sort of thing like mint is a great additive as well, just to add a little bit more interest to it.
You can buy on Amazon. They have these little clear pitchers that have a little plastic insert. You can buy them at Target, anywhere, but you put the fruit in the middle and then you fill it up with water and put it in your refrigerator. And I took a trip. We were in somewhere in Georgia, and they were serving us these flavored waters. And the two that I loved the best was watermelon mint. So I bought one of those pitchers and I stuffed a bunch of watermelon in there, alternating it with mint. That was so good. And then the second one was ginger peach. So a couple of slices of peaches, ginger, I just layered that in that little column, filled it up with water, and an hour later, it was really good stuff. And strawberry water is good. Yeah, there's any number of things you can put in there.
I'm going to take some of those strategies. That sounds delicious for this summer. Again, like I said, to flavor my water. I know I'd really like to encourage all of our listeners to try at least one fatigue management strategy. The two I'm going to try is some of this fruit water. That sounds delicious. And I also love to have just some energizing music when I'm down to get my mind up a little bit. So I'd really like you to comment on your fatigue management strategy that you've chose on whatever podcast service you're listening to us on.
I know that I definitely need to stay more hydrated, and I think a morning walk sounds wonderful. It's summer out. My dog loves to walk, so I think I'm going to start walking a little bit more in the mornings just to wake myself up and really get myself ready for the day, and definitely stay more hydrated. I'm thinking limes and some cherries in my water. Not maraschino cherries, but regular cherries in my water. I think that's going to be good.
We have no choice over here in the desert. It was 108 last weekend. So if we want to walk, I was out the door at 5:45 because once the sun comes over the hill and starts beating down on us, that's it. So you just have to set a time and just say, at this time, I'm going to get up and walk.
That's something we didn't talk about, is the heat. Definitely high heat will contribute to exhaustion and fatigue. So walk at the coolest parts of the day for sure, or find an indoor air-conditioned place. I know with global warming, everybody's hotter and hotter as the months go on.
That reminds me, for a while I was leading a mall walkers club when I lived in Orange County. And what they'll do, if you can put a mall walkers club together, first of all, search for one. There may be one in your neighborhood that you didn't know existed yet. If not, you can always form one. And if you just contact the manager of your local mall, all those stores open early for the maintenance people and the workers to come in, and they will let people come in a certain number at a time. The mall's air conditioned, and just walk the mall back and forth. No window shopping, no pausing to peruse what's in the windows. You're just walking in the nice cool air in the mall before it's open. So there's not hordes of people. You can walk for 15 minutes, 20, 30 minutes, and then you're done. Go have coffee with your new friends. All's well.
Well, like we talked about, fatigue is something that may happen, especially if you're experiencing a lung disease, but there are definitely ways to manage it. So making sure that you have plenty of oxygen, that you've gone to your doctor, and that your oxygen levels are good. and doing lots of lifestyle adjustments. So making sure that you're keeping up with your physical activity, making sure that you're eating healthy foods and staying hydrated, and practicing the exercises that you want to do throughout the day are all really important things. So hopefully these will be some good tips. And if you guys have questions about the breathing techniques, you can find those on Blue Zone's website. And I think there may be some resources available as well on their YouTube page. So take a look at those or reach out to us if you have questions about those different strategies, and we'd be happy to talk with you. We also have our health coaches, Gina and Kelly. So they're always welcome and excited to talk with you guys if you have any questions.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing you later.
Living with a chronic respiratory condition doesn't mean giving up the things you love to do. At Blue Zone Health, we're here to help you breathe easier and rebuild your strength. Our online cardiopulmonary rehab program offers tailored exercises, self-management training, and expert support from certified respiratory therapists. Accessible anytime, it's designed to reduce breathlessness, improve lung function, and empower you, all while connecting you with a supportive community. Visit bluezone.health and take the first step towards stronger lungs and a healthier future. Blue Zone Health. Breathe better, live better.